This program has been rated mature by the Gaming Radio Network. It is unsuitable for under 18s due to content of an adult nature, which may be classed as offensive to some people.
With that, we press the button, we go live, and it's time for This Week in New Eden, Sunday, April 17th, 2016. Hello, everybody. Hello, friends. Hello. Welcome to another week of talking about internet, spaceships, and stuff. I'm Wiggles, and the guy just below me on the video feed is Dirk McGurk. Dirk, my son, my friend, my mantra. And it's a thing. It's a thing. It's one of those things.
Hello, my son.
Hello, my son. How you doing? There we go. Links are in game as well, so if you're listening live, you can. You can also watch us live as well. bit.ly/twine. I spell it weird, but yeah, there we go. Just look for This Week in New Eden, you'll find it. We're there. Dirk, how the devil are you, sir?
I'm all right, man. I don't know what it is. I can't seem to go to bed until about 4 hours before this show. I don't know why.
I think maybe it's got something to do. Generally, you've been on location for us recently. You've been on location in London. You know, you've been on location.
Was at the London office?
He was at the London office a few weeks ago. I'm just literally hanging out in GTA 4.4 right now. Literally, I'm in 4.4. I'm like in space. You can see it behind me. People might come behind me, whatever. Literally, where are you today? If you just give us a quick brief from there, because behind you, you look like you're in a nice sort of area. Yeah.
Today I'm actually in Serenin. Okay, but the picture that you see behind me is not that. It's an old picture that I've just got up. Of a place that I used to live up in Declan. It's actually the view from my planetary manufacturing headquarters in Declan when I was part of Tactical Narcotics team.
Ah, that's what it is then.
Yeah. So it's the view of a city down in Declan, or up in Declan, or whatever you want to call it. It was located nearby the great city of Wibleburg, for anybody who knows that, on the planet we in TNT knew was Wiblonia, in the solar system of K5F. Yes. So,
Wiblonia. Yes.
See, people do live on the planets. It's not just all in space. People do live on the planets.
Yeah. So, you did say to me that you're actually not there. That's an old picture.
It is an old picture. This picture was taken less than a year ago, I guess.
Yeah.
I kind of keep it as a reminder of a peaceful and prosperous time.
Reminder of the good times.
A reminder of good times. Before this, the once beautiful and industrious region of Declan was savagely invaded and the planet's ransacked by the mongrel tribesmen who came in.
So, what does it look like right now? Have you got an up-to-date live feed for us?
I do. Yeah. Hold on. Let's see here.
Let's have a quick look. If you're not watching, if you're just listening to this audio, if you're listening into podcast form, go back and check it. It'll all be on YouTube and there'll be links in the show notes. But if you're watching live, twitch.tv/EveRadio or there's a YouTube link as well that you can get.
There you go. That's pretty much what the view from the view from that window is today. There's been a lot of bombardment to the planet. My planetary interaction industries are long buried beneath the rubble.
Yeah.
Which is why I like to keep the old picture, because it reminds me of what a beautiful place it once was.
It reminds you of better times.
It does. That was taken less than a year ago.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, this is just a city on a planet held that was once held by TNT, right?
Yeah.
Peace be upon Wibla.
Peace be upon Wibla.
But really, it pales in comparison to the great cities of Declan under the aegis of Goonswarm. Places like New Goon City, Los Goongelis, Goonadelphia,
Goon Cargo.
But now we all see what at least the city of Wiblonia looks like today. It's kind of blowed up.
Caleb says in Twitch, so Dirk, are all Dirk's cows dead?
Are all my cows dead?
Yeah, are all your cows dead?
I don't know. The livestock certainly died on that planetary interaction planet.
Hold on, I'm
not sure exactly.
I've got breaking news from the real world. Do you remember there was a research boat that the NERC were going to name, and they asked for the internet for people to name it, the name of the vessel? Like, research boat was going to go to Antarctica.
I do recall something about that.
And there was a poll put out, and Boaty McBoatface was at the top It's how Boaty McBoatface has won the poll.
That's what I really remember is the Boaty McBoatface.
Boaty McBoatface is going as the name that is going to be confirmed as the poll winner. Now the NERC do not have to actually choose that name, but
obviously, right?
Yeah, it'd be great if it was Boaty McBoatface.
I mean, it was not a pending referendum.
No, it's not a pending referendum at all. Definitely. But Boaty McBoatface, that'll definitely work, definitely win, I think. Oh, it should do. But yeah. But never ask the internet about such things. Yes, Caleb, yes, never ask the internet about such things. Or if you do ask the internet about such things, ask them, how it goes. So yes,
but you were wondering if there was an image of where.
Oh yeah, where you are right now. Yes.
Well, because I'm in Serenin, right? So as you can see from the image here, it's your standard low-sec ghetto. This is what they all look like in low-sec. I mean, yeah, there's graffiti. It's kind of run down. I mean, low-sec is basically Detroit, or whatever or whatever the equivalent of what you have.
So where's Cypher when we need him?
What is it, Manchester?
Actually, no. Well, it depends. Manchester's getting more hip now. More hip stuff.
Nottingham? I don't know.
Mm-mm. I was going to say Brixton, but Brixton's even getting hip. Brixton's getting hip now. It depends where you are in the south.
Those Brixton girls.
So anyway, if you're wondering what this is This Week in New Eden, where we do this on Eve Radio. We do it every week, where we talk about random rubbish and stuff. So, hello, boys and girls, as Gabriel Poster says in-game. So, the first bit of news of the week, literally as we came off air last week, SMA had their State of the Alliance, and...
State of the zoo, I guess.
State of the zoo.
I don't even know what do they call it?
State of the Ook Ook. Caleb says we'll be streaming Detroit when the game is out. Maybe. News from last week.
Yeah, I watched that on the Twitch stream.
We would finish the show.
Oh, that's right. It came on right after.
And we were just sitting here 10 minutes after. It was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And we were all sitting there listening to it as it goes on. So
yeah. Yeah, we could have had some real breaking news besides Boaty McBoatface.
We could have. It would have been interesting to do, but sadly, there wasn't, and I'm just spamming everywhere because why not? I just forgot to do all my spams as we go because
there were like I don't know, 1,800 people. I don't know, 1,500 people watching the rebroadcast. Now, mind you, this was going on in I believe in Mumble, their communication thing for their alliance. It was going on in Mumble, and it was being rebroadcast out
to Twitch.
To Twitch.
And the thing is, the guy
EX River found out in the middle of it.
He went hello to Twitch.
Yeah. You guys aren't going to get this link that I'm putting in, whatever. And I think we may have actually gotten the link. I think
the guy actually put it straight out. Yeah, I think he was like, "Yeah, we're just going to put this out. We're just going to do that." But yeah, comment on the Digi interview. We'll get to that. We'll get all to that, Caleb. Don't worry. In time. See, it's like a tease in the industry. You build it up. You don't just go full force and straight in, because if you go full force and straight in, someone's going to bleed.
Well,
I've been told. But no, this was breaking news last Sunday, but SMA to abandon Fade. I love the fact that this was posted on their forums. It says, "Good morning, SMA, brackets, and Reddit when this inevitably leaks." Basically, they're going to go to Cloud Ring. They're going to shore themselves up. They're going to drop the fuck out of Citadels. They're going to drop loads of Citadels, apparently. And they're going to just basically shore themselves up, cut the fat. I'm going to say this. This is the same thing, Doug, we've heard from every alliance that's left a big coalition, or even when an alliance sort of disbands or says, like when Test left the old the old HBC, and that, we're going to go shore ourselves up and we're going to trim the fat and we're going to go to the gym and we're going to get and it happens. But then
Outer Ring, not Cloud Ring.
Oh, Outer Ring, sorry, Cloud Ring. Yeah, I get the rings wrong. Hello, Noisy as well, by the way. But yeah.
I think it should be Outer Passage.
Could be.
I mean, if you really want to take the time to regroup after the Bag of Dicks invasion,
yes.
Outer Passage, but I think they got the outer right, but I think they got the last name wrong. Outer Passage might be far enough away where some of these mercs aren't going to follow you, and also not a hotbed of Outer Ring excavations activity in the area.
Yeah. This is the thing. We've heard it before, and we'll hear it again. Every time, all the time, every however long it is. As we said, alliances will do that, and then they get to that point.
Well, they got to regroup.
Oh, they're going to regroup. Yeah.
No. Meaning that it's good to know that you as a corp or you as an alliance, if you run across a hard time or something like that, right? That you do have the ability to go out there and regroup and either reinvent yourself or just resettle kind of the day to day and then move back into maybe whatever it was that you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
That we can't actually, completely destroy some of these things. Although it has been done, obviously, right? I mean, it's been done when you have an internal person that presses the button and snap, it's gone. But
yeah. Oh, by the way, just for anyone listening to this live that is from SMA or in post, the chair is against the wall.
The chair's out the goddamn window.
The chair's been broken down for firewood and it's put in a bucket and set on light. No, that's not. And again, but the noisy set. Some Vixu says in
the
Twitch.
chair is against the wall is a reference to Red Dawn, which I believe is also a reference to something during World War II in occupied France. I believe in anyways, in occupied France, but that was when there was still a resistance.
Hello to Mike Greenick, who's watching on YouTube. And again, Dirk, you're not watching on YouTube. You won't see the chat, but I'll relay the questions from the YouTube chat.
No, I've got it up in Twitch, but not
you got Twitch. Yeah. Whereas again, if you unless you go to the YouTube link and just pause the video, you'll see the chat. But then again, billions of stuff. Anyway, no. What I was going to say, and my phone just.
Well, somebody on Twitch, Vixu or whatever, said could it be a disinformation campaign?
Yeah.
Code word or what. I think it might be a safe word more than a code word, but like please take the dick out of my ass. It's starting to hurt right now. Apple. But I've thought of that as well. Okay, so you not only have you had SMA leave, right? Obviously CO2 jumped ship, right? SMA, is leaving and going to restructure itself, but still remain blue because they're friends, but they're no longer part of the Imperium and therefore should not be considered part of this conflict.
Yeah.
FCON is left too.
That was the other one this week that broke, and that was
that was later in the week. Well,
that was later in the week.
You've had individuals, you've had even corps that have gone now, to the larger Goon Alliance, right? So only maybe pieces of all of these are leaving.
It's something that
which it just happens. I mean, it happens during times. I mean, number one, you're all whenever a war happens. Okay, number one, you shed a lot of those individuals who were only there because it was a safe place for them to do their day-to-day thing, and they weren't really interested in the how do you keep this stuff. You're always going to lose them. You're always going to lose disaffected corpse, whether they were just true 100% pure Care Bears all along, or whatever, right? Because you've got obviously we have players behind the keyboard, and those players want to log in, they want to do what it is that they want to do, and things like that. Sometimes when the shit gets tough, the tough
get shit.
Well, they leave.
Well, no. Well, this is the thing, right? When you look at it from how it's been, again, I've seen this before, and it was I believe it might have been. Was it? Well, it might have been on one of the pod sides recently. It might have been Pukin or someone else has said, and it might have even been you, Dirk, actually, that said that what a lot of people do is they want to Y dot, or what people like to do. They like to Y dot things, and again, the explanation of Y dot is when Wildly Inappropriate folded as a part of what was the
as an alliance.
They folded into the main corporation, Wildly Inappropriate, and then joined GSF.
Right.
So that basically meant they took an alliance, got the best things of it, chucked the rest away, moved it into a corp, put it into GSF. And now I'm going to come out on a limb here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that is what the CFC is going to eventually happen with what is now known as the CFC Imperium. That's my prediction.
Well, I mean, there has been talk out there. I don't know how much of the leaks are true. I don't know how much. I mean, it sounds as though what we now know as the Goon Swarm.
Yeah.
is going to absorb some of these other things into it. People that want to come, whether it be individual players into various places like Karma Fleet or Wafa or wherever. But perhaps entire corps that maybe are the remnants of one of the former alliances or something along those, to create a what we'll call a mega alliance.
Yeah.
As opposed to relying on this coalition where you have 8 or 10 or however many different alliances that are unofficially aligned, right? Because EVE Online does not support the idea of the coalition so much as it does corporations that form into alliances, right? That's kind of the cap.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was someone, again, I this is hearing from a podcast and hearing it back, but I believe
it was actually in World War II.
That he was in World War. No, I believe so. It was. It might have been on.
I feel older every day.
You weren't in World War II. You just in LoSec. No, you're not. You're not that old. You weren't at Bletchley Park. You weren't bringing the nylons over to woo the Brits. And you go, look at me, I got nylons. And like, oh my god, I want you. No. I believe someone said
it is an interesting. Yeah, it is an interesting concept. Well, I mean, because this past Friday night. Well, I mean, it is an interesting concept to some. Given the current sovereignty system, okay. I believe that this system is easier to manage if it is a single alliance that's holding the space, right?
Yeah.
Just from the ability to arrange for intensifying defenders, it's not a matter of we're here with the combat force. You make sure you bring the Entosis links and all that kind of shit.
I think I can't remember what podcast it was on, but someone I heard somewhere.
Although some people out there disagree with that, and sorry, Pro God Legend the other night didn't think that it makes any difference whatsoever. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out if a whole bunch of different coalition members begin to own this space up there, and how much easier defending is than it is attacking. I don't necessarily agree with him. He is a very good FC, and I totally value his judgment in it. I think other people think differently, who are also good FCs.
Yeah, again, this is the thing. You've had FCs come back as well, which is the things that people have been away for years and just gone, you know what, I'm coming back to this. Going to have fun. Someone said, and I believe it was on Podside, but maybe not, that Seagull wanted to kill off coalitions and her grand plan was working. Now, whether that was said at an event officially, I wasn't said officially, it probably said unofficially, but do you reckon?
I don't know about Seagull. I mean, I specifically raised the topic to her at eVegas. Okay, well, all right. So I've got 2 data points here, right?
Yeah.
One is I specifically raised the data point to her at eVegas, right? To bring that up, all right. I want to say that she echoed what I believe it was Fozzie was the person who responded to us. Was that from EVNT? Remember we sent a question?
Yes, I was at EVNT and I was asking the questions.
Right, and that question related to organizational size. That because my belief is that organizational size and their support of it, okay, is one of the things that just has led to obviously the growth in size, right? I mean, even if you take out the actual organization size itself, the one thing in the game that does support the idea of coalitions is the whole blue list thing.
Yeah.
And both of them, she went into a much more elaborate kind of answer, but Fozzie's, I think, was much more straightforward. And it's something that I believe that they stick with, I think, to their own detriment. But, to their own detriment from a game standpoint, it's more positive on the subscription standpoint. And that is, they're not going to try and do anything that limits social interactions, because they know how deep social interactions run in this game, and they don't want to mess with that. However, they'll do other things that may, in fact, be limiting in some way.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And hello to everyone who's joined Space Gator.
Space Gator!
And Mr. Welsh Takeda. The thing that the limiting thing about what you don't really want to say to people, right? You can do A, B, and C. Oh, but you can't do E. E, no, you can never do that. You want to give people free reign as much as you can within the limits of what's physically possible in the game.
Well, within the limits of what you want to within the limits of what you want to achieve as the developer, right? I mean, in a way, you can look at CCP as being the god who designed this game, right?
Yeah.
And on the first day they created this, and on the second day they created that, and at the end they rested and said, all is good. But then they sent a flood later on because they didn't like the way that shit was kind of working out, right? I mean, that is kind of CCP's role in this, right? I mean, they have a vision, and granted, part of that vision is to allow freedom of choice, but by the inhabitants of the world in which they have created.
Yeah.
But if certain things get out of hand, making some tweaks here or there isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now, one of those things may in fact be organizational size. And what's interesting is that when this, I think it corresponded to the Mittani making some sort of reference to the possibility for this mega alliance type thing. And then there was a tweet from Fozzie the other day that referenced the fact, it was a long tweet. He put it on one of those
longer, yeah.
Yeah, it was a tweet longer thing. And I don't have it right here.
I'm just looking it up.
Where he basically said something to the effect of, for those of you out there who think this, it's not that we can't change this sovereignty system I'm paraphrasing, I'm really loosely paraphrasing, I think. It's not to say that we can't change this sovereignty system if what we find are people are finding ways of circumventing what it is that we are looking to get out of it.
I can read it verbatim for you. Quick PSA on soft mechanics design goals. Quote, one of the design goals is that incentives for consolidating alliances, e.g. only the owning alliance being able to defensively link, in brackets, and incentives for splitting alliances, e.g. capital systems, should be fairly balanced. If that proves not to be the case, we may change the mechanics to reach the goal. Just don't want anyone to be blindsided.
Yeah, just don't want anybody to be blindsided. Okay, so now when I read that, I said, oh man, is that an outward warning to player decisions on how they are going to group up, right? And my reply to him was basically something along the lines of some of this stuff out there could very well be a direct result of what I call the gift that they gave to Brave. Do you remember back?
Yes.
What is it now? Like 18 months ago?
It was the change of game mechanic. It was the. For anyone who doesn't know,
it was the number of people in Corp and Alliance.
It was
based
Corp.
on the skills.
It was Corp. It was specifically Corporation.
I think the Alliance also got upped at the time.
No, because you can have as many Corps as you want in the Alliance. It's the Corporation cap. The Corporation cap's the amount of pilots in the Corp.
Yeah, but I think Mega Corp Management or whatever the heck it is affects the actual number in the Alliance, the number of players in the Alliance or something like that.
Right now.
But either way, I call it the gift that that they had there because it allowed this just massive thing so that Brave could be way bigger than anything that had ever existed in the game before.
Is destroyed and you died.
Thank you, Syncopad, for following. By the way.
And I don't know. It just to me, it just sort of smacked of. Well, wait a second. On the one hand, you said we don't want to tamper with how players choose. If they choose to be in big groups, they choose to be in big groups. No big deal. And then kind of this.
Yeah. And well, this is it. This is where it comes down to it, where you.
Which I don't think is something. I mean, believe me, I don't think that if you took the entire Imperium and stuck them into every one of them that was there before this war, okay, so the bloated mass that existed prior, if you took them all and put them into one alliance, I don't think that given the threat that came upon them, okay, that works out tremendously better. Maybe it works out somewhat better, okay, but I don't think that it is, some sort of, here's the new I win button.
Well, yeah, this is it. And again, for anyone who doesn't know what it was, CCP basically said, we're going to up the max limit of people you're allowed in a corporation. Because Brave newbies, when they were a brand new corporation, had hit the limit and they were filtering...
Well, they weren't brand new, but they were still reasonably...
Well, they were new, and they were filtering out... They
were running up against the cap. They were running up against the cap, okay, on the Corp side. And what they wanted to do is they pretty much wanted everything to all be in the same corporation. Not just the same alliance, in the same corporation. And CCP basically created this method by which they would have a lot of headroom left to have it all in the same corporation. Now, I remember a lot of us arguing at the time saying, no, do what everybody else has to do, which is you create an alliance. And because it's now an alliance, there are now weak links that could potentially occur. But because they were a new bro-friendly organization, and it made it easier for the transference of stuff, down to all of these new bro players and whatnot, they went this other route. But
They did.
I don't see why it should make any difference for Brave Newbies than it should be if they want to create the Imperium Alliance and have it be, literally every player in the game.
And if they want to, they want to. They're allowed to. That's the thing. They are actually allowed to do that.
Under their theory. I
Yes.
totally disagree with it fundamentally myself. However, they've already said I'm wrong in that regard and that they will not
true.
do things that tamper with people's ability to group together.
True, and I just have to quickly plug a USB cable in because I realised.
And again, they could change their mindset because they are free to do that as well.
Well, exactly. At the end of the day, CCP is their game. They can do what they want, and they can do it the way they want to do it. And I know this sounds harsh and bad, but if you don't like it, there's the door. Go to the door. Leave. Don't play. Vote with your wallet.
Captain's door?
The captain's quarters door. Hell, you know what? It could be the door. It could be that door over there. I just broke the illusion. I just broke the illusion of the green screen. Anyway, but no. The point is,
it'll be interesting from both things. What if anything, the Imperium Alliance, the Imperium Coalition, whatever, that it chooses to do. Look, I don't think that what you're going to have is the entire Imperium collapsing into one. Even the remnants of it. I think that you're still going to have a coalition of sorts, because I think that there are some alliances who don't necessarily need to do that just yet. But I do understand the math behind it. Again, I think that it plays into this sovereignty system better than, but then you start getting into things like culture and all that kind of stuff, and that may be why certain groups don't want to, and maybe that's why SMA broke off, maybe that's why FCON broke off, who knows.
well, exactly. They may be privy to information of how the Imperium wants to go come 6 months' time, And the other thing as well, because Mitani calls, doesn't call it Fozzie Sov or whatever it's called, Aegis, he calls it Fizzle Sov and
Fizzle Sov.
Again, I understand why he's doing it. We were talking about it pre-show, but he is kind of the master of the spin. He knows what he's doing when he needs to do it.
He's always got a narrative, okay,
Yes.
which is one of the things that I do find interesting about. I don't roleplay a lot in this game, but when it comes to some of this stuff, it's interesting that somebody out there has a narrative behind it, other than I logged in today and we fought war.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Fizzle Fozzie Sov itself was a take off of, since he was one of the
He was the head of it.
sponsor.
Yeah.
Well, he was certainly the face of it, right?
Yes.
So it got named Fozzie Sov, which was a derogative term, kind of like Obamacare, okay? And then now it's like a second derivative, derogatory term of Fizzle Sov. Mm-hmm. Or Fizzle Sov. Jesus, I can't even get my words right this morning.
Fizzle, Fozzle, Sizzy, Fozzle, yeah. The thing that
some people say they like it, others others not so much. I'm going to tell you right now, I honestly truly believe that it depends on what side of it that you are on. The Dominion sovereignty system, I thought, obviously had a higher barrier to entry to it to get in and whatnot. But once the kind of things took place in it, I think that both sides were sort of equally on the same playing field.
Yeah.
Here, one of my bigger issues ever since it was announced, in the details, not just the idea, because a lot of people bring this up. Well, these groups wanted occupancy-based sovereignty. Well, here it is. No, there's occupancy-based sovereignty, and then there's occupancy-based sovereignty with all of the details under it of how it's going to work. And and the details, as with everything else in Eve, the details are where the issues start to come in with these things. I believe that for the defender, okay, you're always on. You always have to be responsive.
Yes.
You always have to, even with this node decay stuff that they put in there. I mean, you're tempting your own fate by not responding to whenever somebody comes and just rings the doorbell. They're faking it, or if they come and start hitting your things all over the place. You always have to be on because you don't know which one it's going to be. Whereas the attacker can, they can come in guerrilla warfare, they can come in full frontal assault, they can come in when they want to, how they want to, they could do it to annoy you, they could do it to actually take your Sov away.
Yeah.
It's much, believe me, and even Dominion Sovereignty was the same way in this regard. It's much more fun to be the attacker than it is the defender. If for no other reason than well, it's your Sov I'm going after. It's not like you're coming after mine.
Oh, exactly.
But here there's that annoyance level to it where it's like, somebody can just come and just do it to annoy me, let alone something like this here, which is a full-on assault, right? I mean, to take the space.
Well, yeah, and this is the thing where you look at it. We've talked about this in the past many, many times. What is the benefits of owning Sov right now?
Well,
again, very, very high level.
Yeah, okay, very, very high level. It's two things. One, either you believe that, you should live in nullsec if you want to truly call yourself a nullsec kind of corporate alliance or whatever, which is part of the Imperium's kind of DNA, right? They do believe in this society out in nullsec, this society of space kind of a thing. Caleb, you're right. There is some vanity stuff attached to it. There's also the whole idea of, things like super capital production and things along those lines. Obviously, if you're going to have structures up for mining all of the high level moon goo and things like that out in these places, you probably also want to be out there nearby somewhere just for logistics purposes as well as defense of those things. So there are different levels of this whole society that lives out there thing. They're involved. Now, are the benefits what they once were? I don't think so. I think that the income differences between nullsec and highsec are probably not that much. They're not incredibly different anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
They used to be much more different. And they're not as much today, I don't think.
I'm going to disagree with what Ukas just said in Twitch. I think safe to say CCP will tie some Citadel structures to Sov at some point. They're going to keep, I believe, so far, they're going to keep what they've got right now. They're going to keep it in the what's it called? In the TCU iHub thing. They're going to keep it like that, and there's a reason, because that's been worked on, and that's got the current Intosis mechanics with it that work. That I hate them or love them, they work very well. They force fights. They force the fight to be spread out, so there's better fights going on, as opposed to just one big brawl over something where you can go in and dunk with, 24 supers. Yeah, dunk it, done, finished, right, off we go. It's changed that part of the game completely, in my opinion.
Yes, yeah. So again, from a high level, you've got the whole just idea of living out there, right? But then, as with everything else, you've got the details of, well, now that I am living out here, what does that constitute? Do I have better income? Do I have this that's better than that place that doesn't have to defend its sovereignty because it's living under the aegis of an NPC computer-generated corporation that cannot be, that cannot be taken away somehow?
Yeah,
it's one of the things that we've always talked about risk and reward, and a lot of people would sit there and say, well, there are so many Care Bears who live in nullsec, and they've got their blue lists and they've got their intel channels that let them know when somebody is coming and blah blah blah. They really have less risk than a guy in highsec who's getting ganked by code. And I think that what we are seeing right now, okay, is the ultimate play out in the idea of why nullsec is so much riskier than lowsec and highsec, and that is because you can lose it all.
True, you can. Whereas again,
all of those safety mechanisms that are put in place in nullsec are put in place by the players. If it works, it works, and that means it was up to that's because it was. But it works because of them, not because it was handed to them by CCP's code. Right?
Oh, I agree. And
I haven't mentioned wormhole space here, which I believe to be the most risky part of space.
Yeah.
Right. I believe that. So I'm not trying to say that null is the riskiest, but in that whole idea of the conversation over risk and reward, this is true Risk that's out in Null. It's true Risk that's in Wormholes too, but Null is a much bigger place. So it's true risk and reward in the game, as opposed to in HiSec you basically have the risk of that which you're in at the time. Here it's everything that you own that you have out there, your structures, all of the assets that are inside of those things. So
again,
here we've seen the biggest coalition and some of the biggest alliances in the game completely lose all their space, lose all the structures that were in there, and in some cases, for a lot of players who maybe aren't. I got a guy right now who's on a nuclear submarine, okay, and his shit's still out there.
Yeah, and it will still be out there when he gets back, probably.
It'll still be out there when he gets back. He can, he will have access to it. Will he be able to get everything out? No, not exactly. He's probably gonna have to fire sell, which a lot of players in this game have had to do over time. We've all had to do it at one time or another. We weren't around when that shit fell, and now we just go and fire sell it to the or try and get a good price for it or whatever to the people that come in later, or eventually, because we've been around EVE long enough. You seem to come around. This is not the first time I've lived in the North. This is probably not the last time I'll have lived in the North.
Yeah, again, it's all when it again, this is the thing that a lot of people forget, that the game changes, as the game goes on, and the game, people evolve and players evolve. Remember this, and remember this about this game. The game is 12 plus years, however year, 13 years old.
13 years old.
There are people that started this game back then who were single, happy-go-lucky. They worked tonight. They were
just kids, and they're literally adults now.
Well, no, literally, they could have just been kids, and now they're adults. They may have a mortgage and children and whatever. This is the thing where it comes down to it. And my girlfriend's just shaking her head at me. Why are you shaking your head at me?
It's the same topic again.
It's always the same topic because
this is Eve. It's always
this
the same
is Eve.
topic.
Well, I could do this show about Second Life, and it would be exactly the same, except did you see about the new structures? She's tired of people and their mortgages, and we don't have a mortgage. We're lucky, but anyway. So the thing is that we have to wait until CCP decide what they're going to announce of the big thing, because we now have this week the roadmap. Yeah, it's the roadmap for FanFest, the schedule, if you like. We know what's being streamed. We know what's being there. Again, it's another thing that I think it might have been you actually, Dirk. You said, and we'll find out about this at FanFest. You probably said this on Podside or even on Talking in Stations, that we're getting to the end of the 5-year roadmap as it was. Well, what was said.
I've said it in many of the Dirk-oriented shows.
You've said it on the Dirk Network in Dirkistan, and is Dirkistan a province of Wiblonia?
Dirkistan was one of the more liberal provinces of Wiblonia.
But yeah, again, it's one of those things where we'll wait and see. And at FanFest, we will get the what's it called? We will get the next iteration of the roadmap, if you say.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, right now, and that is one of the things, because obviously FanFest coming up this week.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they will be discussing or will be unveiling, I guess you can call it.
Yep.
Would be the furtherance of what we know to be the roadmap. Now, the roadmap is a high level kind of, this is where we're working towards type thing, right? And really, structures, we're really towards the end of what we knew of it before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what the next, let's call it, I don't know, maybe they add like 18 months to it or something like that, just to be able to, to be able to extend it out, give people an idea of kind of generally where they are and maybe what's on the horizon, things like that. You're still going to see a lot of things that are called structures.
Yes.
I mean, this whole Citadel thing coming up on April 27th is just the first structure in the line. It is the biggest. It is the most defensible.
Mm-hmm. It's the one that took the longest, because they had to get the code working, so they know.
Well, because they had to invent the code.
Well, they invent the code, but they get the stuff working, then they know the framework's there. They can go, right, we want to do something for Moons? Yeah, just slap it on that one, done.
Well, and let's see here. Jose, Caleb said this year's FanFest will have a mind-blowing roadmap presentation, I believe. This year's FanFest, like other FanFests, all right, will have mind-blowing presentations of things yet to come, some of which won't ever come. Or some of which will take so long that you don't remember it from 2 FanFests ago. And that's not a criticism, that's just the reality, just so everybody's expectations are managed a bit.
Exactly. We've been joined by Jay McLean. Jay, how are you doing, sir?
J-Mac.
Morning, guys.
Morning. How's it going in the? Actually, I haven't spoke to you since the start of the war. Which side of the war are you on?
I'm in PL.
Yeah, I know you're in PL. Official.
So
that's
I'm
your
one of the good
official
guys.
side. But are you?
He's like a PL new bro.
He's a PL new bro.
He's a post Vegas PL new bro.
Takasha, yes, we do know what's being streamed. It was linked on the they showed it at the bottom of it on the link. So the links, it's on the thing. And you can find that link at totaleave.com. That's a shameless plug. That is a shameless
And no,
plug.
Caleb, I don't think it's going to be business as usual either. Okay, I think that CCP has gotten definitely better, certainly under Seagull.
Yes,
definitely. In recognizing some of the mismanagement of player expectations that they have created in the past. They are much better, obviously, with direct to the player forms of communication. And I think that they will be cognizant of that. And I think it's also one of the things because this discussion over, geez, where's this all headed? Our roadmap is kind of, we're coming towards a cliff, the edge of the map in a way. And I swear, within about 2 weeks of having a couple of us having said that out there, they said that we will be updating the roadmap, at FanFest. So.
There's something I put out on Twitter this week. I did it on Friday afternoon. I did it on the Eve Radio one. I did something else for New Eden Update as well. But it was who are you rooting for in this side of the war? It was a poll. And it was, which who are you cheerleading for, not rooting for? 12%, it was 43 people voted, 12% said the Imperium, 44% said Money Badger Coalition, 23% said good fights, and 21% said eating popcorn. Now, I put those two in there because people want good fights, or they just want to sit there and eat popcorn. And I love the fact that Tora just threw in a gif of a pirate guy just sitting there eating popcorn, a captain eating popcorn.
I mean, kind of. I want to say nothing surprising about that poll. I would actually say based on just basic evidence sort of out there, right? That probably sounds about right. That number one, we all know that most people in EVE have no idea of what's going on in EVE.
Oh yeah, 99% of the players don't actually know. It's only the 1% that live in the media.
Most of the people who most of them don't care about what's going on out there because they're just doing their own thing, right?
Oh, exactly. Well, this is the thing. Jay, you before you were in PL, you were in Faction Warfare, correct?
Yeah.
And then you were helping out. Again, you did with the Best of Us and that with that. The amount of people you see go into Faction Warfare and also in for Best of Us, are they from all walks of life? And then when you see them, you see those sort of people. Do you say, oh yeah, you see them from PL or from Goons or whatever. But then also you see the people who are in high tech who just play on their own or in their small group of friends. What's the more? I mean, to you, do you see the more standout people? Do you see more from just playing the game, doing the missions and mining and whatever, or do you see more sort of people in low sec, null sec, that sort of thing?
In Best of Us, mostly it's starting to look like a giant blue list for those of us who are in now.
Well, exactly.
You guys are back into similar NATO uniforms at this point.
Yeah.
See, Forever Slow
Well,
in game. Sorry, go on.
Here's the thing about that.
Yeah.
And, I explained this to Graf when we were talking about one of the dudes that was in PL. He was asking me about the thing that appeals to people who are in the military about like PL or NC dot or stuff like that is people that are actually, I don't want to say like tryhards or whatever, but they're putting in effort because they like to be good at things, right?
Yeah.
They like to be good pilots. They like to be top of the kill boards. They like to be stand out from the rest of everybody else. So that's why they seek out these kind of player groups that try to excel and be good at what they do.
And that's what it is. This is what the game's about. A lot of people, out there, I'm talking to you. If you're watching the video right now, I'm talking to you right now. You may think that the game's about shooting people in the face, and it is. Or it's about making a space empire, and it is. Or it's about being a very shrewd businessman on the market, it is. But it's also about just having fun, because at the end of the day, I'm going to say this, it's a fucking video game. That's what a lot of people really need to remember, and a lot of people don't. And that's how it is.
It's more than it's more than just a video game. It is. It's more because There's no way that I could look at EVE Online and everything that goes on about EVE Online and everything outside of EVE Online and somehow try and compare it to, I don't know, the Division that I'm playing right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a video game. I log in, I do my thing, I log out. It's not like my actions, other than in one very specific place, the Dark Zone, it's not that my actions have any impact on whether or not New York gets cleaned up for some other guy.
Well, because it's not a persistent universe, is it? It's just
Correct.
kind of more of an arcade kind of game.
Yeah.
But even amongst other MMOs, yeah, EVE is like far and away like hugely different, just because of the sandbox nature and the permanence of everything that happens in it.
Yeah, and and it is one of the things that makes EVE the niche game that it is. Okay, because some people don't want that to be like a thing for them. They don't want to get into something that can that's so deep and so broad, and it sucks them in like and destroys their soul in the process, or maybe destroys their soul in the process. They just want a diversion. They just want a game that they can log into, do their thing, and go, not worry about.
News from the front: Lucian James is currently in CO2's first 190-man Nightmare fleet, or floating around, preventing nodes from being captured while they wait for Russians in a low sec in their Serb fleet shooting ventures. Not kidding.
Okay, so just in chat over here, apparently Razer has announced that, well, at least according to them, that they're moving to Syndicate with Initiative. So they've announced it or something along those lines. I mean, because and I asked them, I'm like, is this just speculation or have they actually announced something? Because there's been this whole where's Razer thing, going on. Obviously, we knew about SMA, FCON.
Yeah.
Obviously, we knew about CO2.
But nobody knew where Razer was. Where is Razer?
Where is Razer?
Well, apparently this is on Reddit, posted 17 hours. Good evening, Razer. A short but important update. Where are we going? We're going to deploy to Syndicate with Initiate. What we are doing, we are staying within the Imperium. We do not let our coalition partners down in the middle of the war, but that's simply how we roll. As said in previous posts, shit is fluid. So who knows what will happen within the future? At no point will we ever join the GSF. Not ever. Razer Alliance will always stay Razer Alliance. And then it says, what are we doing? And this and that and the other. So,
yeah,
Razer Alliance
again,
will
culture and
strive to be shit at the game.
Well, you know what? I tell you what. Razer was. I was in it for about 4 months, I guess. Back at the end of the Bob War, we deployed down to the south, down in Kursk, and then the whole thing went topsy-turvy. With Bob getting disbanded and the whole hell camps and all that kind of stuff that were going on. I was with Razer at the time. Razer was a much different entity back then than what Razer is today. And I want to say, not surprising against anything that Razer has done or not done or anything like that, but just time takes its toll. Those people that formed things early on and maybe aren't there anymore, and they've turned it over to what might be the second, third, or fourth generation of leadership. Things just, as with a business, right? I mean, the founders treated it differently than the people who bought it out, who treated it differently than the people who bought out that company, or what, Yeah,
and that's how it is, and that's how it always will be with the game. The game is the game, and it just, as we said, half an hour ago, maybe less, maybe more. The way the game works is that people move on, and they change their way of playing, and also remember, people change. So the Jay McClain
and Razer had a culture. I mean,
yes.
Razer obviously had a culture. SMA, had whatever monkeys call a culture. All of these different places. Your corp, wherever it is, has a culture that may fit into its alliance, may not, may fit in just enough to stay there. But if some significant change comes along, you may decide, nope, this isn't for us for whatever reason.
Exactly, and as we've always all said before, people change. So, instead of just logging on for 6, 7, 8, 9 hours because you can, you may not have the real lifetime to do it, but you also might not want it. So, as you said, you log into the Division, or you go and play Call of Duty or whatever, just to get your quick fix of, adrenaline, and that's it. Off you go. World of Tanks, whatever.
But yeah, I mean, just so we can wrap up, I do have some predictions regarding some of what's going on. With the Imperium. Jay, you're gonna have to bear with me on this, okay? Rather than just cut in here, okay? But we already know SMA's off to Outer Ring, where I think that the former I Want ISK bankers and big money men of that alliance are going to seek to basically create a monopoly around the buying and relisting of mining-related ship BPOs in Jeddah. FCON's going off somewhere. Razor, we've just heard, is going off with initiative down to Syndicate. Others from around the existing Imperium are likely to find a new purpose, both in or out of the future entity. I imagine that Bastion will probably stay in its current form, since it was pretty much born of an amalgamation of former individual alliances, but has grown since then. As for TNT, I think they're going to stay together as an alliance. But rather than seek to hold space, it's going to take the final step into becoming what it was always destined to become after 2 top 10 finishes in a row. Basically an alliance tournament club with its members dedicated to the art and science of alliance tournaments and EVE sports, much like Warlords of the Deep. Maybe they'll call it TNT Reloaded or something. What we know today is the Imperium will change. It will become leaner and potentially quite meaner. What form that will take, I can't exactly say. Perhaps it's the Mega Alliance, as was alluded to. Perhaps a coalition of, fewer Mega Alliances. Who knows? Maybe a ragtag band of Space Raiders flying Entosis Rifters that they can align with their current boat naming scheme and call Rafters. We'll see. If the promise is, they get yachts, speedboats.
I love it.
Raft, yeah. If the promise is of the opposite,
how many Imperium refugees can you fit on a raft?
Probably more than you should try to fit onto one, because then it capsizes off the coast of Seren. If the promises of the opposition hold true, they'll likely be unburdened by the constraints of defending their own space for some time. This in turn frees up the new entity to press attacks, big and small, across the map, at times and places of their choosing. As we know, it doesn't take much in the way of investment to make owning SOV or structures a constant source of irritation if you have an opponent willing to do that. Think of it like ringing a doorbell and running away if someone scary answers. And if they stop answering, then maybe that means they aren't home and it's time to break in, raid the fridge, and burn the house down. I don't imagine the immediate goal will be to take space as much as deny its unmolested use to others. Perhaps we will see a new brand of conflict born of rage that goes on for years and ultimately leaves Nullsec a wasteland of empty systems, less about warfare and more akin to terrorism. Then again, maybe that kind of rage is unsustainable for the average capsuleer. We'll see. So yeah, so that's my prediction. My prediction is that they become space terrorists, like of the real kind, where they live out of a low-sec cave or caves around the globe, and they just take it to annoying the living hell out of SOV holders because it's so easy with this mechanic to do that.
That's it. But again, the way as I keep harping on about it again and again,
and I joke in there a lot, about a lot of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a tongue-in-cheek part of that, and then there's a reality that this could in fact happen. Maybe that is what they do. Maybe is some sort of ultimate retaliation. It's if we can't have it, nobody can, or nobody's going to enjoy having it.
If we can't have it, we're just going to burn it down. No,
not burn it down.
Oh,
because there's this whole idea that you have to actually burn it, as opposed to. I mean, look, we know what cloaky campers can do to a system. We know what it can do to a constellation. We literally know what it can do to a region, if given enough time and enough effort.
Yeah.
Just look at what Tissue did.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, go out there. Tag people's structures. They keep having to get those alerts that their shit's under attack or is being Entosis. It's not fun if what you want to do is log in and chill with your mates and not have to get into ship to go investigate whether or not something is an assault or it's just some dude.
Yeah, just some guy ringing the doorbell. This is what you said years ago. It was what we said years ago. That is literally what it is going to be. Ring
the doorbell, and you either leave a pile of burning shit on the doorstep, or a 45 Magnum to the guy that opens the door. I mean, one of the two, right? I mean,
Not even a 45 Magnum, just a splatter gun to the face. Like, give me your money. Come on, give me your money, yo.
Akulu says, can GSF survive as a solveless entity? I think they can for a period of time. But obviously,
just be prepared for so much spin to like. Oh man, it's gonna be sickening the amount of spin that comes out and like horrible words like out of fucking Mittani's just gonna spew forth about how they're winning whatever they're doing currently.
Well, and maybe given whatever they're doing currently, maybe it will be some form of winning. If winning, well, yeah, I don't know. But as far as the taking of Sov goes, look, I think that this entity is going to hold together, long enough to delay it. But honestly, I from my own personal perspective, okay, I'm kind of happy that Sov isn't part of it right now. Mm-hmm. That maybe it will just be more about some sort of attack thing. But again, along those lines, right? The Imperium, like every other nullsec Sov holding alliance / coalition out there, okay? The longer you're out there in space, two things occur. One, the more assets you accrue, both as a player, a corporation, an alliance, all these things, right? The more the bloat that you get within your ranks of alts who are used for this, players who are just there to take advantage of the peace and prosperity that you're able to provide through the security, of the area. Mm-hmm. And without that space, those players probably go away. Now, maybe maybe there's just their alts move on to someplace else, and they leave some of their combat capability there. But the numbers are going to shrink if they don't own space, because there were a lot of people who were just there for the fact that they own space.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I know a lot of people that were like, "Oh yeah, I have an alt over there, so I can go like rat it up."
Well, sure, the way it is. But I think we've talked a bit enough about the war, what's been going on this week. Unless there's anything else we want to touch on with the war.
McLean brought up the spin.
It's not a war.
Yeah, there is that too.
No, but
resist Dirk.
No, that's fine. I mean, you understand what I mean by it's not a war, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I mean, I wasn't saying that to deny the attackers their rightful due.
Victory.
Okay, yeah, exactly, right? I was saying it because it takes two. If somebody, if somebody comes in and rapes you, you were a victim. You weren't the loser in a war of whatever. It wasn't a war. It was an assault.
It was an assault on your anus. But yeah, a kerfuffle. Apparently, it's not a war. Stoiker says it's a kerfuffle or a lover's spat. That is what it is. Now the thing is, if it's a lover's spat, hold on. If it's a lover's spat, who's the lovers? Mittani's on one side. Who's he having the spat with?
Is this the spin show? Is this the spin show? I'm a member of the Imperium, and you're asking if this is the spin.
It isn't the spin show. No, I'm totally impartial in this. I'm a reporter. I'm media.
It's not even just that. I mean, Jesus, I don't know how much more I can have said, could have said over the last however long, about whatever. Anyways, now, but look, and there is spin out there, okay? And again, as I said earlier, okay, I enjoy the propaganda from all sides, okay? I expect that the Mittani is going to spin in his propaganda. I think that he's overdoing it a little bit. I think that at some point you've got to add an element of let's be honest here.
Yeah.
So that not everything even your losses spun, your wins are spun, everything's spun. Is there anything that you say that, isn't just spin, that sort of thing, right? There's got to be, because we're a much smarter player base today than we were, say, 5-6 years ago. There are many more areas for players to get information about what's going on out there, counter propaganda, just true facts and things like that. That if you go too far into the spin zone, you do start to sound either like you don't understand what's going on, you're trying to make us think you don't know what's going on when you really do, or it's just crazy. Crazy talk.
But hey, it's a video game. Remember that. A lot of people forget that. It's a video game.
It's not just a video game. It's an MMORPG.
Yes.
And
just before you say that, it's not a game. It's not many men online role-playing girls.
Yeah, well, it is that too.
Well, yeah, true.
But no, I mean, there is an element of playing up to the crowd,
Yep.
those who like you as well as those who hate you,
Exactly.
and he's good at that. He's good at playing to those who want to hear him role play that stuff. Okay, and he's good at getting people to hate him for it. Mm-hmm. Which is part of his persona. I mean, it's just part of the persona.
It is.
Well, I mean, to a certain point, you have to. I mean, this goes into a much wider discussion as to, where are the lines and where are they drawn between what's Eve and what is like out of Eve. Mm-hmm. Because I think, especially with this particular game, that line is kind of blurred in many ways, just because it doesn't just happen in the game. It happens on Twitch, happens on these jabber channels. It happens. So, like, at the end of the day, where are you not playing Eve, and then how do you distinguish those lines? Because that seems to be a thing that we're kind of struggling with at this point.
Well, I mean,
I'm laughing off camera because my girlfriend is flashing me.
Good man.
Pull down the curtain.
No, she's like here. It's not behind here. It's here. Anyway, carry on.
I think that there's some stuff that has gone too far. Things have gone too far in the past. Okay, back in previous wars, obviously the propaganda and the spin and the words said and things like that, whether publicly or privately or leaked or not leaked, they happened. I think that they are much more widely disseminated today than they were, again, 5-6 years ago, and they're out there much more rapidly. Not just
and everybody's a lot more connected now. We have
Yes.
on Twitter. We got the Slack thing. We got everybody's flocking to Reddit, and it all weaves this kind of very close web to how do you escape from actually playing Eve to like being a person.
Yep, and
Yeah.
because it's out there, so much more, right? There's also this element of trying to one up everything, okay? And at some point, that one up reaches a level where perhaps it does get too personal. Perhaps it does get and we're in this other weird era of Eve, right, where there's actual care about people's feelings and emotions and things like that out there.
There is. We've definitely reached the millennial age of Eve.
Yeah, and that didn't exist before. Okay, I mean, when people bring up that crap with the Matani on stage up at FanFest, okay, with the whole suicide thing and whatnot, I'm going to tell you right now, bullying, whether it be in Eve or in the real world, was not the thing that it's been made into by now. All right, the whole idea, and I'm sorry, it just wasn't. I'm not. Believe me, I'm not diminishing what it was he said at the time or anything like that, right? Because I think it was wrong then, but it just wasn't the. It wasn't the whole soft
they
nature
didn't
of
have
all the.
coalitions against online bullying. There wasn't this big prevalence of highlighting every single little thing and calling it like catastrophic to a person's psyche.
Right.
It was more harden the fuck up, even as
I'm
a
not saying
wider
that the
society
origins
than
of it
is now.
weren't around at the time, but it certainly wasn't what it has become kind of certainly in Eve, because remember since that time, all right, and not because of that, but because of some other things, right? The whole bonus room with Erotica 1 and things like that. CCP has implemented policies against things that happen outside of game, related to the game, that they can kind of track down on and things like that, right? So even CCP has had to make adjustments in how it polices itself and the player base and things of that nature. So a lot has changed, but some people, they take things a little too hard, and then while others may white knight them, or others may go, oh geez, can't believe you did that, or whatever, because we have gotten a little bit softer in total, I think. You've also got those people that sit there and say, well, fuck it, I'm going to one up it then, and I'm going to go even further.
Problem
Well,
is,
it's Eve. Everybody wants to make a name for themselves.
yeah, you do.
Right?
And the problem
And
is
that's kind of that driving force there.
when you get to that stage where everyone wants to one up themselves and make their name for everyone and do that, it then and then you realize that CCP know everything about you in game. They know where you connect from, your IP address, your credit card information, all that sort of stuff. However you pay for the game, they know all of this information about you. But outside on external forums like Reddit or Slack or Twitter or anything like that, anywhere else that isn't a CCP property, they don't have jurisdiction. They don't have the long arm of the law to get you. But they can use social engineering and stuff to piece things together. And they probably do in some cases. But the question, is it right or is it wrong? I just said in the Twitch channel, I think they need to step in sooner if it brings them into disrepute. So if it brings CCP's name into it bad, like they say, oh, this game supports bullying, and they'll bring it in, they'll come out on it. But if it's just stuff happening in game, it's just stuff happening in game, and that's where, you know, it comes. And we talked about the Matani thing from FanFest a few years ago. This year there's FanFest. They're bringing back the Alliance panel. We're going to segue into FanFest now, but the point is that a lot of people.
And Caleb, you're right. He did give an apology pretty much straight out. You know, nobody denies that. I'm going to be honest. Again, at that time, it's a joke nowadays about the farming for tiers and things like that. But there were things that were tolerated in this game that maybe never should have been, but were. I don't even believe today. A lot of new players don't even know about the Harden the Fuck Up song and video that CCP put out. Okay.
Yes.
They don't know about that. I don't even know that they would. It is almost like the Blazing Saddles. Okay. The movie Blazing Saddles, right? You couldn't get that movie made today. I don't think CCP would put a video out like Harden the Fuck Up anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a cultural evolution. We've seen more
Exactly.
people who used to play the game that were of the Harden the Fuck Up crew leave, go, you know, separate from Eve, and then you've got new people coming in and taking their place, and they're of a newer generation, and you see that kind of a social evolution happening here.
Exactly. But FanFest this year, the schedule is out. Me and Dirk were having a conversation a while ago saying, when's it going to come out? When's it going to come out? When do we know what's going to get streamed? The schedule was released. The official schedule was released this Friday, obviously, because FanFest is next week. Big schedule. Well, I say big schedule. It's 2 days with a little bit on Thursday. So Thursday is literally Tranquility. So it's all in one place. The opening ceremony is updates on New Eden from midday to 2 o'clock. And then the EVE Online keynote from 2 till 3. 3, Valkyrie Assaulting the Senses, which is all going to obviously be about VR. And then from 4 till 5, A History of the Great Empires of New Eden, which is the player track for Andrew Groen. He's going to be there talking about that, which is good. That's all obviously going to be streamed on the first day. So the first day you're going to get all of that, because in past years stuff's always been broadcast live on Twitch. And Dirk and myself have always said, look, maybe they can, you know, do multi-streams. Well, they could. And I'm guessing, I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm guessing what they're going to do this year is just literally do what they've done other years and just record as much as they can and put it out on YouTube afterwards, because that would be the easiest way to do it.
My understanding is that there's going to be, there's going to be the Twitch stuff, and then there's also going to be some stuff that gets YouTubed out of some of these other sessions.
Yes.
Not all, probably not roundtables, where what they're looking for is kind of player feedback where they're not concerned about. But who knows? I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll put more out there. They know that the gripe has been, especially following EVE Vegas, the people who aren't there deserve something. Damn it.
Yes.
Because so many people are so actively mentally engaged with these things. Just because they can't make it to your little volcanic rock doesn't mean that they shouldn't have some idea of what went on there. And maybe it'll, get them to come next year. Who knows?
Exactly. So, getting back to the schedule, Friday, there's a big bunch, but I'm not going to look at the schedule. I'm going to look at what's being streamed, because that's what everyone who's here right now will be watching. Stream starts 10:45. Game design panel. So the game design panel is the first one in Tranquility, and then ships and modules again, more game design stuff, and then Project Discovery at 1 o'clock. So Tranquility, everything in the main hall, fine, good. Then after that, live concept art. They always do an art, which is always. I love watching the art ones because they're always good for concept. NASA, there is no LOL. which is in the Singularity one, and then Care for Kids is in Serenity. That was after that, and then the Amar Championships finals, because that's going on there as well. I also had a tweet this week. Somebody tweeted, I think they tweeted you as well, Dirk, about it. I'll have to look back. Or did they not? They just tweeted. Funnily enough, they tweeted CCP, EVE Online, EVE Radio, and me. And it's like, I said, what's the deal with the Titans in Amar? Some event going on right now? And I just linked them to the community news thing. It's like, yeah, the Section Trials people are turning up for. It's the in-game RP for the event, because in-game RP.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to zip back for
Yes.
for 1 second on the whole spin, and maybe sometimes it gets out of hand, kind of a thing, or what people say. It's funny, right? Because we went through about 2 years of no big war. Not to say that there weren't some small regional conflicts that that occurred out there, and as with anything else, if you're a part of it, you think it's a big deal at the time. But we went through about 2 years of where the major groups out there were relatively quiet, reasonably quiet. And during that time, there were a lot of people saying, "What does it take to have a war in EVE?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember myself saying, "CCP," as a joke, right? "CCP, could you please somehow code in player hate?" Because player hate, okay, actual personal dislikes, all right, have driven a number of conflicts in this game that have turned out to be great in-game wars.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But it's
They're driving this one right now.
Well, and it is the driver behind it. This is not a war for resources. This is not a war for territory. This is, as somebody put out there, a war of, well, it's both a war of ideology, okay, as well as one of just, we just don't like you, period. They don't like our freedom. And that's great. I mean, CCP can't
like our freedom.
CCP can't code that in, all right? And that's, again, what makes EVE so great. It's about what the players do with what they give us.
Yes, exactly.
What do you do with the sand in the sandbox? You can shit in it. Mm-hmm. And then other people on the other side of the sandbox get a little upset that there's shit in their damn sandbox and they want to clean it up. Or do you just sit there and kind of like, mold sand around in a little way and go, it's sand.
You mold sand around it and you put a flag in it and say, free candies, and someone digs for it and gets shit on themselves. Hey, that's what it is. And so, Friday. Saturday. Art and graphics. Social science studies, EVE Online. Structures, which is going to be a big one, obviously. Art of Citadels. EVE Valkyrie Tournament semi-finals and finals, and then the closing ceremony. Out of that, I'm okay with all of that. Obviously, some of the round tables I'd like to be streamed, but they're round tables, so yeah. Are you happy, Dirk, with, okay, we've got the information now, but I would like to have seen it a little bit earlier. Obviously, they were still probably working on the schedule up until when they put this out. And again, it's all still subject to change. Are we happy with the stuff they're streaming this year, I reckon?
Having been to EVE Vegas, right, and the outcry over the fact that they weren't streaming anything at all, right? I mean, I think mostly we're happy that, at least, because I was there for that, so I didn't worry about it as much, but yes. I totally understood the people who weren't there that wanted to see the stuff that was being released, because there was a lot of heavy stuff being talked about.
Well,
FanFest
the
is even
they
bigger.
Were covering were huge to the game.
Yeah, I mean, FanFest is even bigger, okay, not just in size, but the things that they will be talking about, yeah, it's great that they're putting this stuff out, and I think that they're going to be putting out the key things,
which is good. What we need to see, we need to see the key stuff, and obviously, sure, as they put those out, there'll be dev blogs put out, so a lot of that information will be seen anyway. I mean, I'm happy with it this year, and I like what they've done. In previous years, it used to be, you give it a normal stream. If you want the high def stream, they've just done away with that. They've done away with the pure pay for the high defs, and that'll be it. It'll be a free.
Remember back when they used to charge for it?
Well, they did that because Twitch allowed you to do it. It was that was before Twitch subscriptions. You could temporarily subscribe to a channel for a certain amount. I've still technically subscribed to the CCP channel, even though they don't have subscriptions for that. and that's how it was. You got the high def variants of it, and you could watch it all. And again, somebody asked it earlier on in game, or in Twitch, it was Ushea. It said about the previous streams and that. They may just do it with Plexes again this year, where if you buy a Plex or you buy some Aurum at the time, you get some skins or something like that. But yeah. Did we notice the 180 on TMC's direction? And they used to be strong pro Imperium, but now they're pivoting to be fair. I'm not got any inside information on that, but I can tell you probably that's Matterall actually doing his job and saying, "Look, guys."
No, it's not.
It's also
not even that.
It's also Mittens as well.
No, I don't even know that. I don't even know that it's that. Look, I don't believe that any of the. God, and here's something I say literally everywhere and have been saying for a couple of years now, at least. Okay, I don't believe that any of these organizations out there are inherently biased. Okay, none of them have enough content to where they can sit there and say, "No, author, we don't want you writing a story about that because you know what, that goes against what it is we believe." Okay. Or the point that we're trying to make as an organization. They don't have because these are all volunteer writers. They write what they want to write. I mean, I wrote for, I don't know, a 6 or 9 month period there. I wrote about the things I wanted to write about. It might not have been anything that a reader cared about, but I was writing because I wanted to write, and if I'm going to write, I'm going to write about the top, because you're not paying me. 500 million ISK doesn't get me to write a story about something I don't care about. Because if it did, it would not be a very good story anyways.
I just seen on Twitter, CSP Karka. Hey, at Jeff Mater, so Jeff Rader, you should totally be here at eFanFest. Apparently your boy Kanye is going to be here. Brackets, something tells me he's here, but not going to FanFest.
Yeah, so again, I don't think that they've pivoted recently. I mean, that was something that... It got brought up. There were just too many voices on Talking in Stations the other night for me to say more about it. But I don't believe that they've pivoted. What they did was recently they've had a couple articles that have come out which have enraged the moral crowd out there about why and whatnot. And I was against one of those articles, the I Want ISK article, the recent one, anyways. I was against that article. But the fact that I Want ISK was then allowed to post his response on the Mittani.com, that's not a pivot that allows for fair and balanced. That's always there. If you want to write an article and that shits all over the Imperium, write a good article, submit it, and I'm telling you, it'll get printed on the Mittani.com. I don't even know what way would be better than showing up the Mittani than writing a really cohesive, coherent article, that denounces him or his organization and posting it on his own site.
Yeah.
They want alternative points of view. Everybody wants alternative points of view. The problem is that the writers that they have working for them, okay, or submitting to them, the writers that CZ has submitting to them, and even News 24, they tend to come from the social networking that these groups do. It's not like, hey, they're paying me more, I'm going there. Oh, and I get a better benefits package, for being employed by News Corp than I do by, whoever out there, NBC or whatever, right? It's not about that. This is not, I'm going to work someplace for the benefit and, if I don't like the organization. You just go where you want to go because that's where you feel like going.
Yeah. Crazy Horse says Sign and Mittens specifically said they were going to be pure propaganda a few months back on the Meta Show.
That's actually not, well, at least my understanding, and from the internal kind of meetings at the time that I was privy to, which would be more on the streamer side than anything, but just conversations with Sign. It was not about being pure propaganda. What it was about was providing content that they believe their readership, their base, would be most interested in.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I can tell you, because I do know a number of people that are part of the Imperium, okay, who don't necessarily find flat out pure propaganda type stuff to be their cup of tea. Some do, okay, but really it's more about providing content that they think. Again, there's nothing wrong with being niche and having a targeted audience, okay? I believe in a more general audience. You try and bring in as many people as you can into the audience, because it's just good business.
Well,
but there's a lot of organizations out there that do it differently, and they target specifically.
Of course
I mean,
they do.
look, the Huffington Post does not write articles trying to attract my attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's so over the top that I feel as though I have to read it just out of,
Exactly. Noisy said TMC got a little weird for a month, and that I Want ISK is making CCP violate the law was the string that broke the camel's back for many of us. And
yes,
yeah, it was.
I disagreed with that article because not that the person who wrote it didn't have the right to write it, or didn't have didn't have the right to actually put it together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I blamed TMC. I said it openly to Scion for the editorial choice to run it, given this fact, and that is the context of where we are right now. All right. It's one thing if you want to put together an article that has to do with the casinos and EVE and why maybe you think that they're bad for EVE, and here's this example. It may even be illegal in certain jurisdictions, either within the 50 United States of America or around the world. Mm-hmm. Okay, it may in fact be illegal. All right, use it as an example, but the broader context is much more. Is much broader. There are other EVE Online type casinos out there.
Of course there are.
All right, and to name just one is highly subjective.
Yes.
Especially when they are the main funder of a war against your sister organization, or however you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. That's what annoyed me.
It reeked to me from that standpoint. But I'm going to tell you this: if that article had been written 6 months ago, the moral outrage that came from the community would not have existed. If it had been written 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
all right, back when the community was much more likely to jump on anything that attacked one of these potential real money trading organizations out there, they'd have been all over it. They'd have made it, the pitchforks and torches from Summerblink would have been just as active.
Yeah. Also want to say a big hello and shout out to Lubto Kong, who hung up his hat this week. As well did Greedy Gevlin Goblin.
Gevlin Goblin apparently has quit the game and has given away his money. It was the 3 organizations. The biggest one I think was MOA, right?
Yep, MOA had some, and then a couple of others had them. I'm just looking it up because they were both on Friday's New Eden update. There we go. I've got both the blogs. I can.
Here's the thing about the legal argument. We joke all the time about space lawyering. Okay, now that generally relates to interpretation of CCP's EULA in terms of service, right? It doesn't typically go into the realm of real lawyering, okay? Because real laws are real, and that's a whole different thing. So somebody was just saying that EVIS gambling sites are illegal is like calling the cops on someone for blowing up your Titan. Here's the only caveat that I will put to that, all right? Because the whole idea of virtual currency, what value means in a virtual world, okay, I don't believe has been truly litigated out there, laws written, and have it made its way through the legal system in the various jurisdictions in which it operates. So, if you were to tell me that it was completely impossible, all right, for any of this, I would say I don't know how you can say that. I've seen crazier decisions made by courts out there. There is some stuff, over that I believe over in Europe about people suffering damages, okay, due to things that were related to a game. I can't remember the exact story at this time, so please, it's early in the morning.
Yeah.
Crazy things happen in courts, especially when the laws have not yet caught up with advances in technology and things along those lines.
Or even if the judges or the juries don't actually understand what's going on. They don't understand the technology and stuff at hand.
Correct.
Look at what's happening in the courts at the moment where the whole Google versus, I think it was Sun or whatever it was case, where somebody's going about Java and this and that, and it's going back and forth. It gets appealed, then it gets overturned, then the Ninth Circuit overturns that one, and it has to go back. And it's like, seriously, just work it out, for fuck's sake.
And again, I do not in any way, shape, or form, because I'm not a lawyer.
Yep.
I'm just a space lawyer. Okay, I I do not want to get into kind of, whether or not it truly is legal or what the true definition of value is in the virtual age or anything like that, right? All I'm saying is I'm skeptical that there might not be a court out there someplace in some jurisdiction with a quirky old law from 1802 that they haven't bothered to change where something odd could happen. We've got some crazy shit here in the United States, and I'm sure that there is crazy shit in a lot of jurisdictions around the world. But, again, the article, I think, was more about bad timing and bad context than anything. That is what got the moral outrage going out there, was the fact that this article was targeted specifically at one entity who just also happens to be the financial backer of this over here. Oh my God, you are linking real world law into the guy attacking you.
Exactly.
And for that, I agree. But it does make me laugh a little bit at the moral outrage because, and here's the thing, right? That people in this game will tolerate a good number of things that should not be tolerated. But if it's directed at the people that they don't like, they somehow find a way of tolerating it a little bit more than others. And years ago, it was hating on casinos and potential real money traders and things along those lines. And nobody cared what anybody did. Shoving a bag of dicks up somebody's ass would have been okay back then.
Yeah. Again, this is just how it is. Right. Games that allow you to take money. Oh, it goes, make money gaming. This is from our website. I just googled. Make money. 5 games you can get paid to play. And it has EVE Online in there, but that's... yeah, I don't know why it's in there, but there's Second Life, which we all know. I've got first-hand experience of that. So is my girlfriend, and it's the way it is. You can go in there and make stuff and get Linden dollars. Atropa Universe is the other one. Where there's another one I was saying about Second Life is real life cash economy. Atropa Universe, formerly known as Project Entropia. The game that isn't a pure social world, there's actual gameplay elements, hunting, missions, crafting, and you can basically, it's a fixed dollar, the Project Entropian dollars, which are a fixed exchange rate of 10 of their in-game currency for $1, and you can take it back out into a bank account. No middleman. Same as you can in Second Life.
Well, Crazy Horse 117 says, Dirk is just saying that people have been sued for some ridiculous things in the past. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, okay? Ever since, there's one lawsuit out there that really makes me think that, you know what, anything is possible. And that is when the person sued and won because they bought coffee at McDonald's and spilled it on their lap in the car.
Whoa, hold on. Whoa. Let's backpedal on that one.
Okay.
Because that's always touted as a very litigious and horrible fucking thing to happen. But the lady that bought this coffee, right, this wasn't just hot coffee. This was over 180 degrees. Like, these people had the shit, like, set way too high. And
if it was 150, should you still be putting it between your legs in the car?
She got second-degree burns on most of her legs.
I agree.
And was admitted to the hospital for it. Because she was, 70-something years old.
My brewer at home, I'm pretty sure the setting on there is 192 degrees, so I don't know.
I'm just saying,
don't put hot substances between your legs when you're freaking driving.
I'm just going to say this. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, yeah?
Well, if that's 212 degrees Fahrenheit,
it is.
You are correct.
It is. When you go to your kettle and turn that on, that's 212 degrees Fahrenheit. When it boils, when the water's boiling, it's that hot. Has to get to that point to boil.
Well, all right, so maybe 180 was low. I've been blown up so many times, I don't know exact numbers. But
it's literally napalm.
Yeah.
Well, they looked at it, and it was set way higher than it ever should have been.
Well, even then, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius for people actually in the civil world that know. I say that, and me and my girlfriend had a conversation in bed the other night about why the hell do we use miles, feet, inches, pounds and stone, and I was like...
You guys are kind of caught in this limbo.
It's so fucking weird. We have both, though. We have it on each.
Between logic and the queen.
Yeah, I know. It's anyway. Screwfax, 180, 212. Fuck it. FC what? Celsius? Depends on air pressure. Yes, I know. I'm talking about normal, everyday. You're not high up in the mountains or whatever like that. But anyway,
wouldn't it be funny if all of a sudden?
What I was trying to say is this is not as crazy as it's constantly touted to be, and not as ridiculously litigious as it sounds at first hand without knowing the details of it.
It's crazy from what I will consider to be the common sense thing that, you know what, hot fucking substance, don't put it between your legs while driving, you won't burn your crotch, and you won't be awarded millions of dollars in the process. I mean, but that's all. Just common sense. I'm not saying that maybe the temperature, whatever. Anyways, because of that one there, I think that, you know what, anything is remotely possible out there. Because we award people for doing stupid things because we didn't put on the side of the cup contents are extremely motherfucking hot.
Yeah, or what was the other one? Contents is sharp on a packet of knives. I know, seriously, it's there. It's like contents may be sharp. It's a fucking.
Have you seen the
knife.
stuff that they put choking hazard labels on?
Oh my god! Yeah, like a basketball. I mean, it's. I do think it would be funny if on April Fool's Day, one year, CCP changed all of the measurements in the game to like miles.
Well, technically it is. Well, no, it's
instead
AU,
of kilometers.
Yeah,
instead
AU
of
is.
kilometers.
Well, that's the thing, though. An astronomical unit, right? 1 AU. 1 AU is technically 149,570,870 kilometers, whatever it is, or whatever meters.
Crazy Horse, today, yes, I would think of suing if the coffee burnt the shit out of my nuts. However, okay, back then, I never would have thought of that. I would have said, God damn, I can't believe I just burned my nuts. I am a friggin' idiot.
Well, that's the thing. You'd sue, and then you'd look at the coffee cup and it says, do not put this between your legs because it's fucking hot, you idiot. Yes, I'm talking to you reading this after you've burnt yourself. And you're like...
And if I went to sue, my father would have turned around and said, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you put hot... Yeah.
It's like the other night. I literally was pouring boiling water from the kettle into a pan to boil the water because that's what you do. You boil the water in the kettle so it doesn't take 20 minutes to boil in a fucking pan. It keeps going. And I poured it a little bit too much in the steam on the pan. I went, fuck, that's hot. And I went, of course it's fucking hot. It's stupid, but yeah.
Slippery when wet.
Slippery when wet. Yes.
It's a warning. It's not a. It's not a transference of liability.
Yeah. Apparently, Jane of Solwyn Games says, wow, that Madonna story is getting misrepresented. The coffee kept above regulations by a huge amount. She asked for 15,000 just to cover the medical costs, and they refused, and the judge awarded her the higher amount. Well, yeah, exactly. But then this is the thing.
I'm saying, hold on. I don't blame it on her, right? But what I'm saying in this whole legality thing is there are judges out there. Look at some of the decisions on some social issues.
Yes.
There are judges out there who make decisions and people don't necessarily agree with them. Who's to say? I mean, remember, law is all about the interpretation, the writing of laws, the interpretation of laws, and all that kind of stuff.
Here's one
right?
for you. The Newtown parents are going to try to sue the gun company, saying that an AR-15 should have never been sold to the public because it is strictly a military weapon.
Yeah, I mean, you've got lawsuits like that, which a number of people totally agree with, and a number of people don't, and that's why you get into all this politics stuff.
Yeah.
Surrounding Supreme Court decisions and all that kind of shit over here, right? The whole idea of legislating from the bench and blah blah blah. Again, the legal system is an imperfect device that has at times resulted in either people going to jail for reasons that maybe they shouldn't have, okay, or people being held liable or not winning, okay, in civil cases that they should have. Please don't tell me that it's all perfect, that this is all settled law regarding casinos, regarding derived value in a virtual society, that just because CCP says that they own all this stuff, CCP does not own the feelings and emotions that I have towards my stuff in this game. They may own the stuff, but they don't own what I perceive to be value. Now, if a court tells me that my value isn't the same as true value that's fine. I understand that. But don't tell me that a court might not in Florida or in Oklahoma, okay, or someplace else, tell me that, well, again, something happened, and I can't remember what it was. So if somebody wants to look it up, they can go look it up. The thing that happened, I think it was over in Europe someplace. I don't know, whatever. Anyways.
Crazy Horse, Matani versus Hillary, the spin-off.
Bro, Jesus Christ, right? I'd pay money to watch that.
All I'm
Who
going
knows?
to
pay like
Maybe
$1.
Mittens is running for
office. Yeah,
running for vice president. Maybe he wants to get picked by Trump as
his running mate,
something as his running mate, or some other propaganda minister. Who knows? I mean,
Do you know what? All I'm going to say about the American legal system is Hulk
everybody
Hogan.
does. Everybody does realize, right? That well, some high percentage. I don't even know what it. Right? He's playing.
Yeah.
He's trying to trigger people out there.
Exactly.
He's role playing. I mean, you do realize that propaganda in this sense is kind of a for fun thing.
Mm-hmm. Hulk Hogan.
And
So
then it brings up, where is the lines?
where is the lines? And this is the thing where everyone goes, oh, but again, it's like it says there was a woman, a Fuller says there was a woman who put his cat in a microwave just because you think you could try and put the cat inside. Just because you can put something in there doesn't mean you should do it. But hey, this is the internet, and this is humanity. There are people who say, well, you shouldn't really cross the, a 6-lane highway going either way. Well, you should use the crosswalk. You should use the bridge. No, fuck it, I'm just going to run across. It's quiet.
Nah, everybody should yield to pedestrians crossing.
Again, I'm just going to say it again. Hulk Hogan. That's all I've got to say about the American legal system. That's it.
Well, hold on. That's not fair. Because Hulk Hogan, he's going to be responsible for taking down Gawker. Thank God for that. Go Hulk.
But on one,
Hulkamania is running wild all over Gawker.
I know.
Yeah, we should talk about the meta show from yesterday. But yeah, go ahead.
The one thing of that, all I'm going to say is yes, it's bad that it's good that Gawker's going, but it's also bad that he got 150 million US dollars when he was only going for 90 or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so I was a little disappointed in the meta show yesterday.
Yep.
I got to be honest. All right. As somebody who watches it for the entertainment value that that it provides, right? And there's people who watch it because they are part of the Imperium and like it or find it entertaining regardless of it. There are people who watch it for the anti-value of it, right? Like how I watch MSNBC.
Yep.
All right.
Do you, quick segue. Do you watch MSNBC with a little thing of hand tissues and some lotion next to you?
Only when Rachel Maddow's because she's sexy. No, anyways, but they had Digi on yesterday, okay? And Digi is God, he's a boogeyman in Eve, okay? But apparently he's a boogeyman that real allegations have been made towards in terms of how he does some of this stuff, right? It's the whole, anti-spying thing, but does it push boundaries and things like that, right? Well, Digi was on yesterday. And despite saying, what had to be a good 75 times in the course of speaking, people joke about my verbal tics, okay, where a lot of times I'll say "look" at the beginning of a sentence or something akin to that. I forget what the other one was, but anyways, he said, okay, fine, not all of us are great public orators. But you know what did not get addressed at all, and why I think a lot of people were perhaps tuning in? They kind of wanted to hear a bit about this stuff. Not necessarily the accusations, but maybe even just a question of, so Digi, what is it that you do for us in the Imperium? And none of that came up, which I was a little bit disappointed in. I got to be honest, because I've heard the rumors, I've seen the stuff out there. I generally kind of have an idea of what his capabilities are and things like that. I would have liked, literally.
Literally, you would have liked to
literally
know.
Literally. No. I use the word literally a lot.
I know you do.
I generally, unless I'm air quoting it or something, use it correctly. I don't usually use it in the figuratively sense. But anyways, so I would have liked to have seen some of that. But I think that maybe what the reverse of it all might have been with Digi on there yesterday was, I don't know, maybe humanizing this person that people have only heard stories about.
Or maybe it was all just to make fun of him because he sounded like a terrible fucking Mongoloid.
Maybe. I didn't think he sounded like a Mongoloid at all. I think he sounded like just most other EVE players that I know.
Completely and socially inept.
You know what? You put up anybody from these things and you try and engage them in a conversation, okay? Most people are not good at that on air.
Just busted balls, Jerry.
No, I know. And look, I'm not defending any... Believe me, what I'm saying right here is not in any way, shape, or form defending any of the allegations that have been made. I have no idea. I believe that things like doxing are wrong. I believe that a lot of these things are wrong. I think that you talk about lines that are overstepped, Okay, some of these things are definitely overstepped. This is not the only guy or the only organization that does these things in this game. There are other people as well out there who are more than happy to put up things that, you know, expose some of the weaknesses that we have. You know, and we shouldn't tolerate stuff like that. We shouldn't tolerate a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
That sometimes we do, if it's benefiting our side or our tribe or
If it
whatever.
benefits our side, or if remember it is part of a video game. And again, I hate to harp back every time to say, look, it's a video game. It's a video game. But
Oh god, that was the funniest thing is when apparently he lost power yesterday and was on battery backup. So in the background, his UPC or his battery backup is screaming. You know, it's got the high pitched squeal coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty freaking funny. But yeah, and then at one point he did do some kind of crazy rage scream or something like that. That I imagine is getting on somebody's soundboard out there to be used later.
Oh, definitely. You know, stuff like that gets out there. The thing again. And we all have to take this with a pinch of salt, and how much salt you want to know if it's going to be a massive, massive pile of salt, or if it's just going to be, you know, your average little salt cellar or something. We don't know. Remember, the Meta Show is there for spin. It's there as
It's called the Meta Show.
Yeah. Again, I remember back at time. I remember when I was young, when Mittens was like, "No, I'm not doing a fucking Twitch show. It's fucking stupid." You know, yeah.
When he was first coming up, you know, when they were first going to be coming out with that show, I was a writer at the time, I think, at thematani.com, and so I was in the general chat channel where they're like, "Hey, if you guys have any good ideas for names or whatever," and I remember, and to this day, I think that they probably should have called it the Matani Factor. You know, like the O'Reilly Factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because look, obviously, it has its purpose of being a. I'm the Matani. This is, you know, listen to my propaganda. Right? I mean, that's the basis of the show. The fact that sometimes they have some guests on that, where they take some things less propaganda-ish and a little more seriously is not necessarily the crux on a week-to-week basis. It's kind of like Open Comms, right? It's a show. It's a drunk show about Eve. That's what it is. Okay.
Yep.
If you're looking for something sedate, it ain't that.
Well, it's the new Millennial Space Show, isn't it?
Like the Open Com show.
The new millennium.
Yeah.
You got to bring in new blood once in a while, just to keep the generations. Old.
Of course you gotta do.
Old men don't draw viewers so well.
Well, it's like this show. I remember, back in the day, back in my day, when we used to get maybe 50, 60 people listening, on the radio before we did the video feed. And I started doing the video feed. And the reason I did the video feed is because I know people like to watch talking heads, and, they want to watch something that's going on again. We're having a conversation, we're having a discussion. And now we're up to
which is a bitch, because if you make a mistake,
exactly.
and you go full retard, 20,000 views later, and people know who you are.
Hey, Dirk.
Yeah, how's that treating you there?
Speaking of living, having the whole Twitch thing and showing people, Dirk, is your background, is that the ghettos of Saranin that you're living in right now?
That is okay. And
should we do a recap?
Yeah. I should do a recap. So if you're watching right now, I'm going to show you kind of where this started. Okay, so this is where I am now, right? I'm based out of Saranin. It's basically just your traditional low-sec ghetto. There's graffiti on the wall and things like that.
Constant drive-by. Couldn't resist.
Well, I'm trying to. Okay, so this right here was my background from my space office on one of the planets up in
Wiblonia. Was it Wiblonia? Yeah, we call it Wiblonia.
Well, this was it. This is the city of Wibbleburg, which is on the planet of Wiblonia.
Ah, yes.
Up in Declan, and this is what it looked like in the past. However, we know that things have happened up there. And this is, in fact, what it looks like now. It has been decimated and war ravaged and everything else. So that's where the picture came from. But I am, in fact, based out of the ghetto of Saranin.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
I heard tale that there's the the fastest Titan in the North does drive-bys up there in Sarin.
Lebut Kong, and he said he didn't roleplay. Exactly. There are very few times when I get the chance to like pretend, and I'm trying like. I could probably count them on both hands, like over the course of playing since 2008, when I've tried to get into that kind of just for the gag of it. But
Dirk RP is hardcore RP. Dirk is clearly an RP nerd. And in game, Oda Romero says Losec life matters ?
Oh, Dirk, I guess you're part of the Losec crowd now, huh?
I guess
Yeah, he is.
it all comes around, bro.
Full circle.
Well, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and eat popcorn and maybe throw shit grenades at people. Because why not? That's what I do. That's why I do it. And, yeah. It's been one of those weeks where we've seen two more... Well, I say weeks because even though it was literally after last week's show, we've seen two more alliances leave or move away from the greater Imperium, good as it is. By the way, if you haven't seen the video by Rooks and Kings this week, go and watch it. Just look it up. It's just like it's a new one. In fact, I think Eve the actual Eve Online Twitter account just tweeted it out, and I'm just going to retweet it from everything I can. But go and watch it. It was awesome. It says the Tranquility and Serenity servers provide a cultural backdrop for the latest Rooks and Kings video, and it basically is just them showing between both of them. Dirk and Wiggles both going to FanFest this year. No. Sadly not. If I won the lottery this year, yes. I don't actually have I do have a passport. It's currently in a delivery office about 2.5 miles away. So unless I win the lottery on Tuesday, whatever.
FanFest just isn't my gig, right? I'm not going to two places in a year because my daughter would literally like try and kill us if we went on another vacation that was related to a video game when she thinks she should be sitting on a beach in Mexico. And I agree that if I was going to do another vacation, that I'd be sitting on a beach in Mexico too. Not
so are we talking about Eve Cancun now?
If there was an Eve Cancun, I would definitely mix family with pleasure. So really, one of the things I'm looking forward to out of FanFest is somewhere around the end, probably in the closing ceremonies or something like that, they will announce the dates for Eve Vegas.
So I can book my motherfucking hotel room.
That's right. So you can book my motherfucking hotel room and the tickets and that, because for me, Eve Vegas is the shit.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I'm actually going to try seriously hard this year to get the stuff sorted for you again. I'm going to poke people as hard as I can.
I would actually be more likely to be perfectly honest, if Evesterdam got bigger, became kind of an Eve Vegas type thing, I would probably be more likely to go to Evesterdam than FanFest. And that's simply because if I'm going to travel that kind of... It's 5 hours for me to get to Vegas, okay? Just the flight is 5 hours for me to get to Vegas from the East Coast. If I'm going to do 7.5 or 8 hours someplace, okay, I'm going to mix more than just that player event into it, right? So I want it to be a destination location.
It's a destination thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Also, I was just laughing there. Caleb said, "In before Drayden's sister?" ?
Drayden's,
boy. Eve London will be the next big thing.
I would bring Drayden's sister to Eve Cancun.
Eve London will be the next. Well, Eve London, funnily enough, has now come under the Eve NT banner. They've partnered up with Eve NT, so it's still
they've got a branch office south of Nottingham.
Well, yeah, they had. It was called Cardiff. They're doing an Eve NT in Cardiff, and now they've taken over not taken over the running of the London. Well, I suppose they have, but basically it means that Eve NT now.
Does that mean they have to spell Eve NT with a bunch of weird looking?
No, it's just Eve NT. It's Eve NT London.
Well, no, the Cardiff one I'm talking about. Is it Eve NT because that's how they spell it over there?
No, it would be Cardiff. And I know I've just really offended Takeda. So I'm sorry. I know I've really offended you. Whatever. You suck at rugby. There we go.
Well, Noisy's like, hey, Dirk, it's only a 6-hour flight from Reykjavik to Reykjavik from Chicago. Look, anything that's that length of flight, right? I'm going to want to make it into more than just about that particular event. And while I'm sure that I would find things, because I enjoy touring and things like that, even in places like Iceland, I would be able to find it. My wife, I don't think, would really dig on it as much. She would much prefer to allocate that time and resources to I don't know, going to Jamaica or
or going on a European holiday, actually in Europe.
European holiday. Yeah, I mean, we've done London and Scotland.
Well, so fun enough.
Is Belgium not on your list?
I don't think that that right now Belgium is on my list. But
Lupto says CTB head office moved to London, by the way. Well, the head office is still in Reykjavik. They have an office in London, and I haven't heard anything. And I live in London. I'm 25 minutes from the centre of London on a bus. I can walk. I live like, well, put it this way. Before the show today, we went to Regent's Park, and it took us 20 minutes to get there. And we walked through Regent's Park for an hour and a half, but what it was. I don't think Hilmar's moving to London. Is he?
I thought there was some. There was something about some changes being made where they're opening up a bigger thing there, and
hold on.
I don't know. I thought I did read something that
hold on.
Hilmar was possibly moving there.
Hilmar's had his Twitter account verified.
Oh, so he's the real Hilmar?
He's the real Hilmar now, apparently. No, it wasn't verified the last time I looked. That might have been a few weeks ago. I suppose because he's been dealing a lot with Facebook and this and that, and they can just sort of poke to thing and this and that. So, yeah.
There was something in the press, and I... Yeah, I know the CCP Denebula thing about opening up the office there, but I thought there was something more to it that also included Hilmar, just because of the other areas that they're getting into, and I don't know. It's probably easier for him to be talking to people when he's out of London than it is meeting people in London, or
again, that's where
the travel that he's doing.
One of the new office is going to be, and it is in London. They're built, and as soon as I find out where it is, I'm just going to go knock on the door and go, hey, or whatever. No, I won't do that. But the thing with that is, yes, London's easy. Well, I'd say London's easier to get to than Reykjavik, but it's one of those things. It's it's what it is. London has got it's got.
While we're off,
yep.
I mean, I want to say while we're off on the subject of CCP and where they have offices and things like that. Did we mention it a couple weeks ago when there's a guy out there, I don't know the link right now, damn it, I'm sure that Noisy can throw it in or something. The financials. CCP's financials looked healthy this year. Revenues were down, okay? I don't think anybody is shocked there. Revenues were down. We know that probably subscribers are down pretty substantially and things along those lines, right? But their profits were what appeared to be record profits. They have made a lot of fat trimming in the back office and things like that, right? Obviously, last year was the year of the write-down, where they completely depleted shareholder equity. But they got the $30 million that came in this year, and their profitability looks extremely solid.
Yeah. I mean, the revenue...
Cash flow, profitability, all the other metrics other than top-end revenue... I believe looked pretty solid.
Revenue was down a little bit. It was down 3 million. But as you said, everything else, it was markets risk, and I just linked it.
Well, there was some other things to back out there, I think, in the revenue section as well. But overall, again, profitability, looked really solid, and not because of some one-off thing like the sale of what the hell was it they sold this year? That group that used to be out of Atlanta.
White Wolf.
White Wolf, yeah.
Yes. No, again, what you also got to remember is they did have a $30 million cash injection for VR this year as well. So
right, and that is related to the VR side. That's not $30 million. That's going to be getting dumped into player-built Stargate cannons or whatever they are. But
yeah.
But that being said, who knows? Maybe it's less money coming out of the cash cow that is the EVE Online revenue stream. That maybe gets put back into it, but
exactly. You have to wait and see what happens.
I wouldn't bet on that either. I mean, I think they've been doing a lot of good development work at CCP, both both on these other projects that they're working on, as well as EVE Online. We can't say that they have not put in a metric fuck ton of coding. You remember back in the day when we used to talk about pauses and things like that, that the pause code was among the most antiquated, like they didn't even want to try and change pauses in any way because it really required a whole rewrite. Well, guess what? All this new Citadel and Structures stuff is that rewrite of a major portion of code.
Exactly. The subscriber numbers, it didn't say it's on there. Obviously, they don't report them anymore. But it's good.
Yeah, that was kind of the only area where I got into a little bit of this is just pure speculation. Trying to back into these subscriber numbers.
It says deferred on the deferred revenue. It does have subscriptions, so the subscription is down 300,000, but in-game purchases not yet consumed is up 300,000.
Which is related to Plex and other items similar to where they don't actually get booked as income until such time.
Well, that sale of goods not yet delivered, that was 159k in the previous finances. This year, 3.1 million.
No. The Plex is the deferred. Did you link that up so I can?
Yeah, I linked it in the bottom, and it's literally it's the very bottom of TeamSpeak. And if you scroll down, it says now deferred revenue with cash.
One of the things that he did point out is that the line item, and again, I'm going off memory here because I don't want to click on it right now, but I'm going off memory here. But the line item that related to things like Plex, okay, that deferred income stuff related to non-subscriptions, okay, grew at a slower pace than what it had in the past. Okay, now part of that might just be based on the fact that the hoarding of Plex isn't as much on a per Plex basis, which would affect the real dollar amount because it is more on the ISK base, on the ISK side. But whatever. I mean, it's still a storage of wealth in the game because Plex always and forever converts into 30 days worth of game time as a base, let alone what it might extrapolate out into in the future as far as this goes.
30 days worth of game time, is it 3,600 Aurum?
Something
I believe,
like that.
It's a certain amount of Aurum as well. So you've always got those two numbers.
I didn't want to, I didn't want to get, that's why I don't want to look at it because I know that then I'll end up getting off like trying to dissect everything, But really, the whole point of what I was trying to say is just the fact that financials are healthy.
Yes.
Last year, really the 18 months because it began in 2013 actually, but it was quite terrible. It was quite terrible for a while there, and it looks as though they have righted themselves in that way. They have these other products that are coming online and gaining attention. And no, I don't mean like dust levels of attention, but like real shit. And as a company, they are in a much better position today than they were 18 or 24 months ago.
Yeah. I think we've pretty much chewed up everything that's new this week.
I'm quite certain that there's way more that's new this week.
The new this week that's in the big scheme of things. I mean, obviously, a quick, very high-level stuff. Go and listen. If you haven't listened to Cap Stable from this week, there's a couple of good Cap Stable boosters out there. 3 actually. Sapporo Jones I haven't listened to yet. Crass Kitty, and also who was the other one? Grath. He was on there as well. That was worth it.
Did we talk about dailies last week?
Yes, we did.
I think we did. Yeah, we talked about dailies last week. I mean, look, people. You're going to see things like this added into EVE. I mean, the whole skill point injector thing, things like dailies, things that can engage. You don't have to use them. I don't have to use them. But if it attracts people out there and makes them stay kind of more engaged, whatever.
Yeah.
I hate to say whatever, I really do, because I think that there are some of these things that devalue kind of what we think about the game. But remember, we're kind of capped out at those people who are willing to try this game out and become the new blood that comes in and stays. Mm-hmm. We need something that's going to pull people in, get them engaged. I really don't care if somebody goes from 1 million skill points to 50 million skill points, like, overnight. Exactly. I don't care. Why? Because you know what? they're but one ripple within the giant pool that already has a whole bunch of players with a lot of skill points and a lot of wealth and all that kind of whatever. The more content we have in this game, the better the game is. And just because somebody didn't earn it as slowly as we did, we got to get past that emotional thought process and just into what the game is.
A lot of people need to get past that, because at the end of the day, this isn't your granddaddy's Eve. This isn't your Eve. This is the new Eve, and this is how it is. And again, I hate to say it, but if you don't like it, you can vote with your wallet.
Again, the thing that makes Eve a great game are the consequences involved in it. What we don't want to see is the loss of consequence, right?
Yep.
The fact that, again, it's easier for people to maybe earn some advancement, right? I still don't believe that Eve is a pay-to-win game. Okay, you can certainly pay for some advancement, but I don't believe that it is a pay to win, because as we see, you can be the biggest, most giant organization in the game and still lose your shit.
Exactly. Well, as Lupto has done. Lupto Kong is exactly as he's done. He's voted with his wallet. He's had enough of it, and that's it. And he may come back if he will.
Yeah, we mentioned Gevlin leaving before.
Yeah.
I saw that the other day from the boat, and I don't want to use the word disappointed, because that would confer something upon him. I mean, again, we all make these choices, right? I know I've gone through a period where it was like, oh man, this Eve is killing me thing, because it wasn't my cup of tea at the time. Now that there's war, now that there's this thing going on, I'm much more engaged in it. But I understand why some players may disagree with some of these things that CCP is implementing, and maybe they're the player that leaves because of that. Now, that's bad if we have more players leaving because of it than we have attracting and retaining, right? But if what it is for every one player who leaves in disgust, 5 others join and stay, then it's kind of that whole, for the good of the whole bit. So long as it so long as it doesn't ruin the game, right? I mean, and again, there are some things that are consequential, and then there are some things that are, well, this is just what I think, and I don't know.
That's how it is. Hey,
we all make our own individual choices.
we do, and the game changes, and that's what it is. And again, remember, it's a video game. Video game. Right, I think we'll go around the horn quickly. We'll start, Jay. We'll start with you, I guess, Mr. McLean. Anything you want to pimp out, my friend?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me link you the thing.
Yeah, sure.
Speak. Eve Northeast is happening in June 23rd to the 26th. Me and Dirk are going to be there, and we're going to be stupid drunk and making terrible decisions. But we'll have our wives there to temper those horrible decisions.
That's what was Eve New England, yeah?
Yeah.
Again, it's the iteration. Again, as things go, stuff changes.
But it's a really good time. It's not like one of these typical it's over on one night things.
Yeah.
The last 3 days. So you kind of get there, spend some time with your Eve bros, and drink and have a good time. It's fucking awesome. Did it last year.
I have to imagine it's literally an excuse to do nothing but drink and not take a shower, which a lot of nerds are already used to.
And firearms? And beat the shit out of each other with the pewter sticks?
Not.
Last year was firearms. This year it's at a different place, so they can't really just.
Yeah, last year was
ham on
private property. This year
and this year's to sort of get
pewter
sticks and beat the shit out of each other.
Possibly.
Dirk, pimp away, my friend. What are you going to pimp this week?
I don't even know. I'm not usually good at shout-outs. Shout out to all the listeners. It's really nice. I got to tell you, it's Sunday. It's really nice to see as many listeners as we've had out there, on the Twitch stream. I don't know what we've got on the Eve Radio main channel, or out on YouTube or whatever. I happen to like Sunday shows just because Sunday feels like the day for news for me.
Yeah.
Eve News, whatever. It's semi-real. Obviously, if you like drunk rambling, there's Thursday nights with Open Comms. We've got Talking in Stations, the new show that I do along with Drayden and Matterall and that's a pretty interesting show. We've got a nice mix of people from around the way on that. Yep. I think that it allows those points of view to kind of come out. So.
So catch all
Check
those.
'em out.
Yep, check them out. And you can find all of those shows, those 2 shows. Well, you can find one of them, definitely. The second one's coming soon.
On the
Eventually.
evilempire.com.
On the evilempire.com, yes, no. Totaleave.com. Basically, a little small website that I made because me and Dirk were lazy. Apparently the stream's just died, but I don't think it has. It died. Press F5 to pay respects. I don't know. It's still streaming here. I don't know if it's dead. No, I didn't say it's thing. It might just be Twitch being things. Reloading it didn't work. Well, I know it's still going to. Stream is resumed. The stream is continuing. Apparently there was a tiny little bit of buffer or something. I don't know. Apologies. Anyway, Twitch hiccup. Yeah, it's the internet. That's what it is. We didn't have a hiccup here, so it must have been just the internet hiccup.
Noisy. If you got a commercial, it's because you're not using AdBlocker Pro.
AdBlock Pro, uBlock Origins,
or
that
something
sort of
like
stuff.
that.
Yeah. Anyway, Totaleave.com, the place to go to find all the information about everything you need to know, stats, all that cool. Oh, not sort of stats, but you can find all the information you get out there on the web. For example, there, if you want to find all the blog posts or the new podcasts or anything like that from CSM, find it there. And then also, I do another little thing every Monday to Friday. It's called the New Eden Update. NewEdenUpdate.com. You can go there as well. I'll just type it in there as well. You can go there and you can find out all the information that's going on there. And that's what we do. Apart from that, that's pretty much how it is. Music will carry on. So if you want to carry on listening to the music part of this show, because we've got about an hour left, there'll be some music coming up. You can get that over at eve-radio.com. Otherwise, we are out of here. Fly safe. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you.
Be good to each other.
Be good to each other, and catch us back here for next week for the last show.
Wild Stallions.
Wild Stallions. Well, actually, funnily enough, I'm wearing a Bill and Ted T-shirt. Be excellent
that's
to each
funny.
other. Yeah, it is. It's great.
That is
I didn't
most
even
excellent.
notice that before I said that. That's funny.
Bill and Ted 3 official. It's going to happen. Bill and Ted 3 is going to happen. It's going to be great.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's going to be happen. They're going to be old. Music carrying over at eve-radio.com. That's pretty much it. And all I have to say is that this has been This Week in New Eden for Sunday the 17th of April 2016. Thank you for watching or listening. Show notes and past episodes can be found currently at show.gamingradio.net. And I am Wiggles. They've been Dirk and Jay McLean. You've been you. That's a massively old throwback to Mint Chip because I'm still doing that. And we're out of here. Everyone say later.
The original.
Later, bitches.
Later.